Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of TV is Our Real Mom. I'm Dave,
I'm Catie.
and you are listening to our weekly Survivor Recap podcast, in which we share our thoughts on the latest episode of Survivor. And Wednesday night's episode was episode 12 of the season. And what's the title, Catie?
Um,
Yeah, I don't got it. Sorry.
that's on the tip of my tongue. Whatever. I'll remember it at some point during the
Yeah,
podcast.
that's okay. It has a title,
It does.
and it's
I
probably
even noticed it when they said it. I think it was Will, but
meh.
surprise, surprise.
So, yeah, what are your thoughts on this episode, Catie?
Well, I didn't know what to think of Will for most of the game, and
Yeah.
now I know to think that I hate him. So at least I know that now.
Yeah, he came off really bad in this episode.
Oh my God, he needed to calm the F down. Boy
Yeah.
needed a joint or something. I don't know.
Get this boy a joint.
He was like vibrating. He was so.
Was it just was Ken just that? Was he that mad at Ken? I feel like that's part of it. Like he was so pissed off.
Ken ruined his big move. He spilled the beans.
Yeah. So that got him all worked up, and he started. His mouth
He has to make a big move.
His mouth just kept getting wider and wider, and he kept getting louder, and his voice kept getting deeper. It was crazy.
And yet he still enunciated so well and kept the spaces between his words, and that was even more frustrating. I just, when people get mad, they talk faster. They talk, but he was like,
I'm so mad right now.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty good impression, right?
Yeah, very good. Very good. But yeah, dude, I was
my game.
and the thing that infuriates me the most about this is that when he came into the game, he was the youngest player ever. And I was thinking to myself, no one's going to see him as a threat. He's a shoo-in to make it far. Yeah. And why does he want to ruin that by broadcasting, not only making a big move, but then broadcasting to everybody that he is making said big move? I mean, that's not how you persuade a jury that you deserve to win, is by preemptively telling them you're making a big move.
Right. You just kind of got to play your game and do your thing, and then explain it after the game is over, right? Isn't that the strategy?
I mean, I understand it's all about perception, but you screaming and flailing about that you're making a big move doesn't always convince people that it's true. And what are these big moves that he's done in the past that he needs credit for? Because I can't think of anything. The Michaela blindside was totally Jay's brainchild. Will went along with it, but he didn't think of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that he was sort of involved in. I remember the dialogue between Jay and Will, and it seemed like it was all Jay's idea to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It was those two sort of working as a duo, but it wasn't. It sure didn't seem like Will had the idea in the first place.
He didn't. If he had, they would have showed us that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it sure seems that it was Will or Jay's idea. And you could also argue that the Michaela move wasn't a good move in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, how has that benefited you? It seemed to put Jay in a really shitty spot, and somehow he's kind of skating by right now. But Will's just put a huge target on his himself.
His fate, yeah.
And he did it knowing full well that he was doing it.
Yeah. I guess, you were saying that he was playing a good game by laying low, by being underestimated, by being the young guy. And there is something to be said about that up to a certain point in the game. But I think he's onto something in the sense that he's realizing that the perception of him, it really is just that he's an 18-year-old kid and nobody's really taking him seriously. So, like, I guess sort of good on him for like seeing that, there's this perception of him, but at the same time, it's like he didn't do a very good job at all of changing that perception. Like the way he went about it was all.
No, he had a temper tantrum. He had a tantrum.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so millennial of him to be like, look what I'm doing. Look at how well I'm playing this game. Give me credit. Give me a
Yeah.
participation trophy. That's basically what he was asking.
He's asking for a participation
He
trophy.
is. And I'm like, dude, everybody, if you're saying you've done a bunch of stuff, Sunday could claim the same. Okay. Nobody here has done less than you. I mean, at least that's the perception.
Yeah.
And if people are targeting people like Zeke and David, let them do it. And if you want to, now is not the time to be like, oh, look at me, I'm Will. And if you want to not be treated like an 18-year-old, try not being 18 years old. I mean, that's just the way it is.
That kind of bothered me when he's like, don't, I'm tired of everyone treating me like I'm 18 years old. And I'm like, dude, you are 18 years old. Like,
yeah, when you're
going to have to accept the fact that that's who you are. And that's just part of the deal, you know?
Yeah, exactly. When you're 25, 7 years from now, and you have some 18-year-old kid whining in your face about how he wants to be taken seriously, tell me how that strikes you.
Yeah. And yeah, when you're 25 years old, people will treat you like a 25-year-old, you know?
Right.
It's just the facts that you are 18 years old. So don't like expect people to treat you any differently than what you are.
If you go into Survivor as an 18-year-old, and it's been done, but we've had 18, 19-year-olds,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you need to just accept that that's going to be your role. I'm going to be the young kid. I mean, Julia, I guess last season, she lied about her age, said she was a little bit older, but she still seemed young, and she kind of blended in and just faded into the background until she got caught up in the Jason and Scott of it all. But I just don't think,
yeah. I mean, I like where Will's coming from, honestly. Like,
I like nothing about where he's coming from.
No, I like the fact that he's like, you know, how am I supposed to win if I don't have, you know, if I haven't done anything? And at least he's thinking that way. But yeah, he just didn't. The execution is all wrong. He totally messed it up.
Well, there was a secret scene and between he and Hannah. And it seemed like Hannah was entertaining him, taking him seriously during the scene. Granted, it was like a minute long.
Like actually serious, like actually taking him seriously?
Yeah, because she had a confessional. And his strategy going forward is the pendulum strategy, where he swings back and forth to take out the big players. Zeke was this week. Next, it will be David. So he's going to go back. Don't ask me how, because they don't have the numbers anymore.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see if he works out for him.
It's not going to work out for him. He's going to go back. It's going to be 4-4. They're going to go to rocks again. Speaking of, also,
yeah, the numbers. You're right. But I mean, these alliances are shaky. I mean, some of them.
I don't think the Ken, David, Adam alliance is shaky whatsoever.
Yeah, that's where Hannah comes in. Brent and Sunday are solid.
That's where Hannah comes in. She seemed to be like, oh, okay, that's very smart. We should do that. But now I think after Adam played his idol on her and all of that, I don't know. It seems
she has to be loyal to Adam now.
I feel like she has to be loyal to Adam, and Adam is not going to be having the Will thing. No.
Yeah. I thought the tribal council was very interesting when you have the two sides trying to get Will's, you know, vote, I guess. But I feel like Sunday, Zeke, and Jay, they were all, you know, on the same side trying to get Will's vote, but they all did different things to totally screw that up. Sunday said something about like, you want to play with
the big kids.
He wants to play with the big boys, you know?
Yeah. Wrong thing to say.
I think he wants to be like the big boys and blah, blah, blah. And okay, so she totally screwed up.
Yeah.
And then you got Zeke saying, I protected Will, you know?
Yeah.
So you're doing the exact opposite of what Will's asking for here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the problem, I think. And then you got Jay who says, I just want to tell you, dude, I treated you as if you were equal through this whole game. Like as if you were equal, you know, like the wording is just all messed up.
Yeah. And I understand. I mean, I don't really understand. I don't understand how you risked your game by going to rocks for Zeke in the last vote, and now you want to vote him.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, does it?
And by flipping, which he did end up doing, he abandoned Jay too. I mean, you have to have one person, one ride or die person. But I guess you could say that Will abandoned Jay a long time ago when he ratted out his idol. So whatever, maybe it's moot. But I don't know if Jay knows that.
Yeah. I honestly didn't think Will was going to flip. And then after the votes were read, I assumed he hadn't flipped. But then I find out after the fact that apparently the idol play was a moot. It was a moot point.
But I still think it was genius and it was really well played because one of two things happened. Okay, Adam A completely had no idea if Will was going to be with them or not, and so he was just doing it to be sure that he didn't lose any more numbers because they already lost Jessica to rocks.
Yeah.
Or B, he knew that Will was flipping, but he knew that Will had made such a big show about this being his big move that Adam wanted to undercut it and be like, what up now? Everyone's going to be talking about this idol and not your dumb big move. No one even was looking. I mean, no one's going to be talking about Will flipping more than they're talking about Adam playing his idol because no one knew he had it. It was a huge shock and he played it for the right person. So
yeah. And yeah, they will be talking about this vote because Zeke was a big player in the game. And this, yeah, you get Zeke out with this vote. So they're going to be talking about this vote. And yeah, I hope, part of me hopes that Adam did actually sense that, Will was going to flip and he played it just to take the power away from Will. That would be awesome.
I do not put it past him. I mean, this was a huge episode for Adam and there was a lot of emotion in it too, but I also think there was a lot of strategy in it as well.
Yeah, Adam was great in this episode.
Yeah, it made me really want to root for him to go all the way to the end, but when I start doing that, people go home. So.
Yeah. Can you tell me, like, how did he know that Hannah was the vote? I mean, how?
They obviously, it's just, there's so much that goes on before the tribal council that they can't show us because they don't want to telegraph the result. And when the minute they started saying, maybe we should go to Hannah, the camera cuts away. But that conversation kept going.
Yeah. I don't think there was any sort of direct intel like Adam had the answer, like someone gave Adam the answer. I really do think he played it on a hunch. And we have seen that Hannah's intuition has been correct as well.
No, she was right last week.
Exactly. Last week, she had a feeling that they were going to go for her, and she turned out she was right. Do you think Adam in any way remembered that from last week? He's like, wow, Hannah's, gut feeling about when they're voting for her is correct. Maybe I should listen to her.
Perhaps he felt guilty about last week about how he screwed up having David play the idol on Ken when it was going to be Hannah. And then he must have gotten wind. They must have at least heard Hannah's name. And then he remembered that Hannah said last week that it was going to be her. And so he decided to believe her this week. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I do think it's more of a hunch thing, though. I think they went through the options and they're like, okay, they're probably going to vote David, but they won't vote David because they think David has an idol or he's played 2 idols. So why wouldn't he find another one? Right. So they're not going to vote David. Okay. So now we think they're voting Ken, right?
Yeah. Well, everybody thought they were voting Ken because Ken blew up his own.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. We can talk about that later.
So they're probably going through that logic and they're like, well, that's what they think we think. So who's the next in line? It's got to be Hannah, right? Yeah. I'm guessing, all of these things together, hearing whispers, thinking through it logically, and trusting Hannah's intuition. I think all 3 of those came together, and Adam really felt strongly that it was the right play.
Yeah, and it helped that he was taken off the board. You know what I mean? Like, he had immunity. It couldn't be him. If it wasn't going to be David, it was either going to be Ken or Hannah.
Yep.
And so, I mean, his options were few. And they probably thought, someone could have an idol. Ken could have an idol. Let's just change it real quick so that we don't get idled out, which happened anyway. Not technically, but an idol did get played on the right person.
Right. So, yeah, good stuff.
It was definitely a tale of 2 episodes. Like, the first half was all emotion and family. And then the second half was just Will coming out of nowhere, throwing his wiener around, crying about how no one takes him seriously, and the chaos that ensued.
Yeah.
And
So
he just
yeah,
wants some respect, which I thought is funny because that's what Ken said after when the Lucy vote happened. That's what he was complaining about. Like he didn't feel respected. But Will, I don't know. Will's basically lodging the same complaint that Ken did, but he's complaining about Ken. You know what I'm saying?
right. Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you feel about Zeke going home?
Oh, well, I'm mad because he was my MVP and my winner pick.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
So I'm pretty upset. And he was just really good. But you can't, it's hard to be that good and not get noticed, you know?
Okay, so do you think he's a lock for a return next season?
Yeah.
So
And I think
it's
that
him and
he'll.
Michaela?
What?
Him and Michaela locked in?
That sounds, I don't know what other two you'd pick. I mean,
David, but I mean
David's probably going to win.
Yeah, David's going farther into this game, so why bring him back next season? Although they have done that with Malcolm and Russell.
They're bringing winners back next season. So just because someone wins this season doesn't mean they won't come back next season.
Right.
But,
I mean, maybe Michaela's not actually in the mix. I think she'd be a great choice, but maybe she's not.
I think she would too, because she got so her exit was so intense that they just feel like they need to give her a second chance.
Well, and just the whole season that she was a part of, she was great. I mean, she's a great character. She has great interviews, and she's a great competitor physically as well. So you get a lot of different things from Michaela. I think it's a no-brainer to bring her back.
Yeah. And I think Zeke for the strategy reasons, but also he's such a good, he's very good at the confessionals, describing what's going on. Like I think he's a writer, so he's very good at that.
Definitely. So yeah, probably Zeke, Michaela. We'll see what happens.
That's a good bet.
I thought it was interesting how at the beginning of the episode, Zeke had his confessional talking about the war with David. And he's like,
yeah, that was a kind of a dead giveaway what was going to happen.
He was like, I won the battle, but then they never let him finish the quote. That was the end of it. He's like, I won the battle. Instead of, but I haven't won the war. That was never said.
He lost that war right quick.
Yeah, right quick. Yeah, do you want to talk about the loved ones at all? The loved ones visits?
I mean, it's a time-consuming thing. It's a very emotional thing, but in the end, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It was really cool to see everybody's family, and Adam. Apparently, according to Zeke in one of his exit interviews that I read today, he said that Adam had been going around camp saying that he was going to steal the loved ones visit. Like that's what he was threatening people with.
Oh.
So for him to kind of announce it. That he wasn't at the loved ones visit kind of took people by surprise and made them respect him more emotionally. Maybe that's why he was doing it. Maybe that's what he was saying. I'm going to steal your loved ones visit. And he was also saying, and Hannah said this too, about how Adam around camp, he's very kind of cold and just about numbers and just about the game. Whereas we've seen so many confessionals where he's been very emotional. So that's how the audience sees him, but that's not how his fellow players see him at all. So I guess they were very taken aback at his emotion during the loved ones visit. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there have been a few episodes this season too in the middle or more recently where you haven't seen any emotion from Adam at all. He's been a game bot all the way. Mm-hmm. And if you hadn't seen some of the earlier episodes where he's opened up about what's going on with his mom and everything, you would just see him as a game bot. But yeah, he has had those emotional moments, but like you said, maybe not as much in front of the other, his tribe mates.
Yeah, and like even Jay said something during the episode, I think, about how it was cool for him to see Adam not be such a gamer for once. Yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons. That was really cool of Jay. I thought I really like Jay. He hates Adam most of the time, but he still brought him on the visit.
Well, Jay is one of those dudes, I think, that just like he kind of wears it on his sleeve, and he
Yeah.
goes with his emotions wherever they take him, like,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool because there's something really authentic about that, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
he's not faking it ever. It's like, I'm pissed. I'm gonna let myself be pissed, you know?
Yeah.
Adam warmed my heart today. He's a cool dude. I like Adam. It can
Mm-hmm.
be a little frustrating probably for some people because he's maybe like a little wishy-washy, but
Yeah.
there's something to be said about people who just let their emotions, who kind of go with what their emotions are doing at the time and let themselves, you know, feel that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Adam or Jay's cool. I like Jay.
And he's the only one that still has an idol.
Yes, the
And
only idol.
none of these idols have been played like they've all been played for other people. No one's played the idol on themselves yet. I'm sure Jay will, but it's
Well,
funny.
that's what's interesting about the way Survivor has evolved is, you know, people know about the idols. They're always worried about the idols being out there, but they there's this assumption that, okay, if we need to flush this idol or whatever, this person's going to play it on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you assume they're going to play it on themselves, but these other people know you're going to put the vote on somebody else, so they play it for that person.
Yep.
And it's a tough game of, what's the game with the ball and cup thing, where you is the ball under this cup?
Beer pong?
Not beer pong. The
I
one
don't
where
think
you
that game has a name. It's
is
just
it the ball and cup game? Yeah, which cup is the
okay.
ball under? It's that
Oh,
game.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean now.
Yeah. So you're always just guessing, like, which, you know, where's it going to be? Where's the idol going to be?
Yeah.
They could play it on themselves. They could, I mean, people who play this game now, they're smart enough to know they're you know, it's like a game of chess. They're one step ahead of each other.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
who
great.
is David playing chess with now? Will, because Will's running the game now.
Oh yeah,
That's clear to all.
definitely. Um, yeah, threats in the game. I'm looking at David as the biggest threat in the game right now. I'm looking at Ken as a possible threat, although I've said it before.
Ken made a big boo boo this week.
Yeah, and I'm a little skeptical about the way he's perceived by not only
The
the people,
jury.
not only the people who are still in the game who will be on the jury, but yeah, the people already on the jury. I don't know if Michelle and Taylor like him. I don't think Chris takes him seriously.
I think
Jess,
Taylor had an okay relationship with him.
yeah, I think they were all right. Maybe they did Ken. It should be interesting to see if he gets to the end. You know
Well, let's talk
thinks
about
he's
he has the
deserving.
legacy and he's 3 days away. Wouldn't that be sad if he got snuffed like the day before?
Are they that close? So he's only what,
They're on
one
day
vote?
33.
So he's only one vote away.
I don't know. They're going to have to expedite these next few votes because they've got 8 people and 6 days left.
Yeah.
So
So
there might be one every day. So there could be 2 votes before the next one.
okay.
But if Will's pendulum strategy holds true, then Ken is not on that list. It goes from Zeke over to David over to Jay.
To Jay, yeah. But Will is aware that Jay has an idol, so how does that come into play?
I don't know, but we already saw in the preview for next week how Adam's talking to Brett about how Will's going back and forth, which is what a pendulum does. So either Hannah told him about his pendulum strategy, or Adam is just can see through Will because he's not that hard to read.
Well, Adam is very good at this game on a mental level, as far as like seeing what's happening and understanding, you know, different scenarios. Adam has proven that he's a wizard at this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past Adam figuring out Will's strategy just by like taking 2 minutes to think about it, you know?
Yeah.
Either way, he's on to it. And I could certainly see Will being one of the ones to go home next week.
Oh, that'd be good. I'd like that.
I could absolutely see it. And is that common public knowledge that there's a good chance we have 2 votes next week? Or
Not a good chance. That comes from the mouth of Jeff Probst. That's a guarantee.
So from the mouth of Probst, we have 2 people going home next week. Not necessarily votes, though.
I don't think Adam. I know everyone thinks, because I don't know if it's common knowledge about Adam's mother that she passed away about 2 days after on day 41, she passed away. If you're talking numbers of days.
Yeah.
At Survivor.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's
it's really sad. It didn't sound like, because in all his confessionals, he's talking about how he's going to be watching with his mom when he's home, watching the show with her. But it sounded like he was not there. So
when it happened.
Yeah. He was
that's all that sucks even more.
Yeah.
Almost.
But that's what she wanted him to do. She wanted him to go play. So
well, yeah, I mean, from what we saw in this episode with the brother, the just knowing that he was out there playing and he was doing well enough for the brother to, make the trip, do the family visit thing, the loved ones visit. I mean, that must have really given her a lot of joy in her last couple days or her last week, right? Alive.
Yeah, at the point he was out there, she had just had a week or so to go.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And it would be just horrible if he got pulled from the game, but
I want him to win so bad.
Yeah. I mean, imagine what a bittersweet,
what a feel-good story that would be.
Oh my God. But yeah, like at the time, like what if he makes the final tribal and knows he did really well and suspects he won Survivor, and then 2 days later his mom dies, like that's just.
Well, then that's what this celebration in December is about. He's had 6 months to. I mean, you never get over the loss of someone that close. That's not what I'm saying.
But grief will be starting to lessen 6 months later.
It's subsided a bit by now, I'm sure, and it's more about celebrating her. And can you imagine a better way to celebrate her than with
winning Survivor
victory? Oh, I can't even think of it. It's too good to be true. The world would not even let something that wonderful happen.
I will probably cry.
I cried at the level. I cried the whole first half hour of that episode.
Yeah, there was some pretty powerful emotion. I was getting choked up. Loved ones visits are always good, but these ones had a lot of emotion behind them. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, even Probst was getting choked up.
I guess they always do, though.
Yeah, but sometimes you just have some idiot, his dumb friend comes out, but everybody here
like
was
Johnny Fairplay.
Except Will. I mean, it's nice that his mom thinks she's in Timbuktu, but she's not.
Not actually in Timbuktu.
And where even is that? Is that near Fiji?
I don't know. I thought it was interesting that like a good chunk of the people still in the game, they all had loved ones there. I might have this wrong, but a lot of them are like either single or not married, or I guess
there were.
Single.
I think there was one spouse.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday's husband, and then the rest were all like mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever. That's interesting. That does usually it's not like that. It's usually a lot.
That's more of a Big Brother thing. Usually they have all the singletons.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too, and it's unique. I mean, usually it's all wives and husbands and things, but I mean, if you would have had Chris there, or Cece or Jessica, but they've all been voted out. So.
Right. Do you also feel like there's been a lot of food rewards this season?
They seem to be fed.
They're getting fed a lot.
And Zeke, when he went off, they go and get weighed. That's like the first thing they do when they get voted out. And he was hoping his goal since he started dieting was to lose 100 pounds. And he was hoping he'd met it by the time he got off Survivor, but he'd only lost 11 pounds. So he was mad.
Well, they had so many damn rewards of food.
That's what, and Zeke seemed to go on all of them. So,
yeah, I mean, former Survivor players have like old school Survivor players. They have to be livid about this.
Yeah, they get a lot of food. It feels a little bit excessive these days. There hasn't been as much like.
I don't remember last season being this bad.
Go to a poor school and give them supplies, or go to an animal farm, or go to these waterfalls. And I mean, there's always food on those things, I guess, but the focus on all of these have been food.
Food. Yeah, no, it's been nothing but food. Every reward has been food. And to me, it bothers me on a couple levels. It's, for one thing, it's boring. It's, there's not enough thought put into, the different kinds of rewards you can give these guys that can affect the game in different ways. And the other thing that bothers me is it's not really, you're taking away from the survival element of the game, which I still like. If I wanted to just watch people vote each other out, I would watch Big Brother or some shit like that. But
hold on. I mean, I watch Big Brother, but let's not compare the two. Okay.
yeah, that's but
Even
I
though
mean,
I literally just did like 5 minutes ago.
if you take the survival stuff out of it, it's not as interesting to me. And if you give them like huge amounts of food every 3 days or more even, it just, to me, that's not
I
good.
mean, not
I don't like
everybody gets to partake. Like Adam has been on maybe 1 or 2.
that's true. I guess I'm forgetting not everyone gets the reward. So yeah, good point.
Yeah,
Good
but
point.
it has been a lot of focus on the food and alcohol this year. So
Yeah, lots of booze.
or this season. So I could do with more. What about the car? What happened to the car? It's been like 12 years since they.
We
did
don't
that.
need the car, but you know what I mean.
But I
Less
mean, they
food.
mixed it up.
Yeah, at least they mixed it up. I also noticed that Jay, after he won this reward, he acted like he didn't expect that he was going to have to take someone with him. Is he not a Survivor fan?
No, Zeke, again, in his exit interview, he said that everybody left in the game has been watching Survivor for like 20 plus seasons.
Oh my God.
And with the exception of Ken. So that could maybe explain Ken's kerfuffle.
Yeah.
That happened in this episode. And I just felt so bad for Ken. He just looked so confused and heartbroken that they would want to vote him out. Like, I know he made an idiot move, but it made me feel real bad for him. But
well,
yeah,
I felt bad for him just because in that moment, like, yeah, they said they're voting for you, and his face, yeah, he's just like,
yeah,
what?
He looked devastated.
It's like, dude,
I was like,
everybody's name, if you're playing this game right, I mean, your name's gonna come up at least, at least once.
He clearly wasn't expecting it to be him. So,
wow. Yeah, can you explain to me what Ken did wrong that is such a big deal? Like, why you're calling him an idiot? Because I don't know that I see anything.
I don't mean he's an idiot.
I don't know that I see him doing anything here that warrants, like, oh, this is a huge blunder for Ken. I mean, Adam had a confessional, and he's a smart player, and he had a confessional that painted Ken to be insanely stupid. But I still don't understand what was so bad about this. What did he do?
Well, Adam believed that they had Will, but when Ken decided to out Will for letting their side in on the plan of Zeke and company, then Will had to second guess his decision to come over with them. Where if he would have just kept quiet, it would have just been over and done with and fine.
Right. So just bringing it up basically screwed up the plans of that alliance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have to point out though that Ken didn't get voted for. So
yeah, maybe Ken's a secret genius, and his whole plan was to make it known that everybody knows that you're coming for me. So there could be an idol out here, and it could get played for me, and so you better switch the plan.
Well, I don't think he realized he was doing that, but I think that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, that is what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what happened, and I don't think it was intentional. He is not a secret genius.
That's giving him a lot of credit.
Yeah,
but
I don't think so.
If he were smart, he could maybe a couple days after the fact realize that, and if he makes it to the end, be like, yeah, I did that on purpose, and for the result that I got, that was the result I wanted. Hey. I just don't know if Ken's quite that level of intelligence.
If he can spin it that way, more power to him. But yeah, I think you explained it pretty well on why it wasn't the smartest thing, but also I just don't think it's not a total idiot move. It's more bad for his alliance, but I don't think that alliance is that strong. I guess
I actually think that alliance is stronger than the other one.
Yeah, maybe you're right. But Ken, David, and Jessica, I think definitely strong.
Well, she's gone, but I think
Adam. sorry. Ken, David, and who else am I thinking?
Adam. I think Adam and Hannah.
I think Adam's tight.
Adam and Hannah are tight, and he just played an idol for her, so they're even tighter now, I think. And Ken and David are. So it's just a matter of those. And I think Adam is tight with David and Ken as well. So I don't know.
Okay. So this plays into my next question, which was just, is playing the idol for Hannah a bad move? If you're right, and their alliance is as tight as you say it is, it's probably not a bad move at all, because you kept this alliance intact, and now you almost have control of the game, and you can get down to the final 4 or whatever. So I mean, is it a bad move to play the idol? Should he just have let
I think
whatever happened.
No, I think it was a good move because I think of those four that Hannah is the biggest question mark. She was the one entertaining Will's grand notions and grand schemes.
Mhm.
And now maybe she will think about it more.
Sure.
But that remains to be seen because Will's going to have to get Hannah. If he wants to get David out next, I mean, he needs to get Hannah. He's not going to get Adam. He's not going to get Ken or David. Well, obviously, you're not going to get David to vote out David. But I don't think he's going to get Ken or Adam. So he's got to go for Hannah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bad move because on a personal level, like self-interest, self-preservation, I think he has outed himself even more as a threat by playing the idol in the first place. And now he doesn't have the idol to protect him when it really matters. Mm-hmm. I think there's no way he can make it to the end now.
I beg to differ.
I hope I'm wrong, but this
you
move,
are wrong, sir.
This move, playing the idol in and of itself, has outed him as arguably the biggest threat in the game. I know I said David earlier, but I think Adam is the threat.
I don't think he's going to overshadow David. I really don't. But again, like David's idol, Jay's idol, people know about him. No one knew about Adam's idol, so I can see where you're coming from. It's like a Wentworthian move.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people are looking at him when they weren't before, at least to the extent that they were looking at Adam, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, he has been under the spotlight, and he's been getting a lot of attention, and now he pulls off this crazy idol play, and everyone's like, oh, my God, Adam, you know?
So there's a good chance that next week, Scramble Adam will return, and people will be like, okay, this is annoying. Let's get rid of him.
Let's get rid of him.
I don't think Ken and David will turn on him.
No.
I think they have more loyalty to each other than that. But Hannah, and it looks like Adam's going to talk to Brett next week. I don't know.
Adam might have loyal soldiers. I guess that's all he needs, right? That'll keep him safe. But he's definitely a threat, and that's all you need to know to flip your vote on him. So
true.
But
do you think they'll put another idol out there?
That's a good question. I'm going to say yes.
Maybe Adam's super confident that he'll just go out and find another one.
Could be.
Or maybe he and Hannah will go looking together and be like, look, you have to play it for me because I played it for you. Not that would work, but...
It's worth a try, right?
Yeah.
It worked on, sort of worked something similar on Eric Reichenbach.
Yeah, but I don't think we have anyone...
that dumb.
Although Will kind of looks like him.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a Eric Reichenbach situation with Will.
Will.
Okay, well, I think that's it for me on this episode. Want to do MVPs?
Yeah, okay.
Well, Adam all the way, right?
Adam, I don't know how this was his big episode.
100% Will. No?
No, Will will never get an MVP from me. Sorry to say.
All right, Adam gets MVP. And predictions for next week?
Well, 2 people are going home.
I'm gonna say Will and Adam.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Will and Jay.
Nice. Okay. And I need to take a second to gloat because I predicted it right last week.
You predicted that Zeke would go home?
Yep.
Was I upset about this?
I think you were like, how dare you or something.
Who did I predict was going home?
Not Zeke.
Oh, I would never say Zeke. I said Will, I think. I wish I was right.
And I would also like to gloat and say my MVP is still in the game.
Your MVP is not winning.
You might.
I don't know. That'd be quite an interesting edit.
Yeah, things would really have to pick up for Brett at the end of the season.
He's got 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he would have to turn into like a super gamer like at the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting if he had it in him. It'd be an interesting way for the season to go. But it seems like he just kind of is more of a follower. But if they get all the leaders out and it's just Sunday Brett and Will at the end, oh God.
Oh God, not a great end. Not a great end to
Will,
the
that's
season.
one where Will wins. Although I think Will has pissed everybody off. I think Brett would win. I don't know.
Brett could win. I think Brett. I think people like Brett.
Yeah, they obviously do. Even the ones that aren't like in his alliance.
He's just a bit
So
of a dick, but I think he's kind of that dick that people still like, though. You know?
I don't think you think he's just kind of a hothead.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's kind of a hothead.
Yeah.
I use dick for every. You know,
Sure.
it's
He can be a dick at times.
general term. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, that'll do it for this episode of the TV is Out Real Mom Survivor podcast. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you guys next week when we break down
Another double whammy.
Yeah, apparently a double whammy, I guess. And that'll be the last episode before the finale, right?
Yeah, they're gonna go into the finale with 6 people, just like Cambodia. Oh, I wanted to say I pose a theory about Ken's advantage.
Sure.
I maybe it's like, since they're going into the finale with 6 people left, maybe it's just like you get to just pick one person and vote them out.
Oh my God!
You just get to get rid of one person.
Holy shit! That's a lot of power.
I know, but
I think it's got to be something that they can twist into the Millennial Gen X theme somehow, like they've been doing all season.
I don't know.
Like it started off with the first reward challenge, or first challenge of the game was like, I think maybe it was the first immunity, where it's like you can choose to take shortcuts or not take shortcuts and see what pays off in the long run. It was such a Millennial Gen X twist, you know.
Maybe it'll be like you can just eliminate someone right now, but there will be a condition.
Yeah, like there's consequences.
But I mean, something like that, it seems like a lot of power, but it's also like your game and your social relationships come into that, and that's part of the game. So
maybe it's another co-wrong thing where, you know, Neil got kicked off the jury. Maybe it's something like that.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I wanted Neil on the jury.
He would have voted for Aubrey. I mean, she still would have lost, but at least she would have had another vote.
Yeah. Still waving that Aubrey flag.
Yeah. She was a bit of a game changer.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if that comes back into play somehow.
Doubt it.
Aubrey being a game changer and all.
I don't think so. Game changers don't win.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, that'll do it. Thanks for listening. See you guys next time.
Adios.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.